Well, hey guys, welcome to GTI Academy. Today, we're following up from last week's discussion with Lane on our fitness standards and real world impact on our soldiers following the Department of War's announcement that there's going to be a reset to the standards. Let's just quickly review today's topics and we're going to just dive right into it. Segment one, just what I said, we're going to talk about the Department of War's physical standards. But Lane and I have been doing some research, so I actually learned a few things. Number two, we'll talk about waiver stats. I don't know if you remember last week, but Lane, you and I talked about, I wonder how many people actually have waivers in the active duty and National Guard. So very interesting findings, and I'll let Lane share that with us. Segment three is just National Guard versus active duty fitness challenges, what the differences are. And I know everybody out there is laughing. And I know why you're laughing, but we're going to talk about it. Army versus Air Force for sure. And then Lane has a really, I think, a fascinating deployed story because we have to tie this into fitness. So there's lots of out there, but as you guys get to know Lane, he has a great sense of humor and his IQ is out the roof. All right. Welcome, Lane.
Hey, well, how's it going, Chris? It's
Great.
always good to get together.
Me too, man. Well, we're remote today, and I appreciate you connecting with us too. I see you're in some sort of bunker today, not at GTI headquarters.
I'm in my joy room, and this is the room that brings me the most joy in my life, other than my bedroom. So,
Excellent. Well, thanks for carving out time for us for sure. I did want to talk about the Department of War physical standards. We mentioned that a little bit last week, and we unfortunately didn't have enough time. So you and I did some a little research on that. We'll share a screen here in a little while, but I want to talk about the breakdown of the current PT, and we'll go by service because that's very interesting to me as well too. And I want to start with Army because since they're the biggest force.
all right. So you got the Army fitness test, which is what's going on right now, and it's supposed to be geared towards more combat readiness and combat task. The problem is, and I mean, you and I have talked about this before. I just don't think the standards are the same going across the board. And yeah, you got them up there, and you're looking at a 1.5 mile run. And if you're 49 and versus being 25 or under, you get a whole other minute. And I was saying, look, if we're on patrol together and we have to run, me being a minute behind you, getting off the, where a bomb's about to hit, that's pretty slow. So I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think we should all have the same standards? Because I'm kind of in that. Look, we're retired, but I do think they should all have the same standards. It shouldn't be like a bend.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that this morning. Like, it's really convenient for you and I to sit right here and judge everybody because we're not under the crucible. However, we were 18 at one time and we made the sacrifice. So whatever the standard was then, we did it. So I feel like we got street cred. We can talk about it.
Exactly.
You agree? Amen. So
Absolutely.
all this little gray gives us the opportunity to do that. So you asked me what I thought about it. Well, you know, I think it depend. I do like the idea of it being job dependent because I talked about earlier. What if you have an administrative clerk type assistant or a supply sergeant that actually doesn't go out? Are they deployable?
So look, here's my only thing with that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think there are some differences. I mean, if you're a straight up 11 Bravo and you're going out every day on patrol, it's probably different than being a 42 Alpha, which is an admin person. However, um, we have had situations where like the combat outpost, if you're up there and it starts to get overrun, then the enemy doesn't really care if you're a 42 Alpha or you're 11 Bravo. They just, you got to go. And so that's where my question is, if you're deployable and you're going to go be deployed, should your standards be that different? Because, um, we've seen the movie like Saving Private Ryan, where the guy brings his typewriter and everything. And he was not on the same level, and all of a sudden he was asked to go and do, and I think he was not prepared to go and do,
I agree.
and
And
it
you and
cost
I,
and it cost people their lives.
it did. And you and I both know people who are, say, in supply and they were in firefights, transporting, and there's two people I can think of right now. So, and I'm just asking the question for a clear debate too. I don't want to actually expose how I really feel. And because just for the sake of debate, but just between you and I, because it's just you and me, I mean, I think everybody needs to have the standard. Even the medical folks too. You know, when we in the Air Force, we practice being overrun by the enemy, even though we're non-combatants, and you got to be fit for that too. So, just having some skill set, medical or otherwise, that's not a true trigger puller. I still think you need to have some level of fitness for standards.
Yeah, and just for clarity, I mean, there are two awards that are given out in the Army, and there's only two MOSs in the Army that get these prestigious awards: the Combat Infantry Award and
Yeah.
the Combat Medic. And so that's medical and infantry. That's two things, but that doesn't mean everybody else doesn't have a reason to be ready to do the mission. So, and there's somebody out there now that's doing this guy, but you see what I mean.
I agree. It's a healthy discussion, and unfortunately, it's a common discussion too. So I hope the viewers can see this. If not, we can fix it and add any. But I wanted to show you the you and I talked about this Army fitness test, and I mean honestly, I would love to try to do it rather than the Air Force stuff because when we prep for Air Force PT, I mean, basically, I'm just going to be honest with you. 2 months before it was time to test, we would just do a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups and go on a starvation diet and then run, and we'd pass it. And then the rest of the year, we just go to the buffet.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I had to do it twice a year, and but it was the same kind of thing for me. I always did more workout before my PT test. I always, ate a little less, pushed back from the table a little bit more, try to get ready for that. But you talk about standards between the active duty and the Guard and Reserve, and for the Army fitness tests, I think some people complain about the equipment, like the deadlift equipment and the sprint drag carry, and they're
Right.
like, "Well, I don't have the equipment to train on this," and the active duty does. And I mean, but active duty is supposed to, well, according to the Secretary of War, everybody's supposed to be doing PT every day. The difference is your Guard and Reserve folks, and I can hear them right now going, "Well, I'm not getting paid every day to do this." But you are getting paid when you deploy, and you are getting paid when you come to drill. So you're supposed to meet the standard. You sign the contract. So, I mean, that's another debate to be had.
Right, and I do want to talk about that too. The difference between M-Day or weekend soldiers versus the active duty. I can see perspectives on both sides. In my opinion, it's a higher degree of difficulty maintaining a civilian job, and then coming on the weekend when it's just hard. But we'll talk about that. So I guess I just want to kind of go through each of these segments. All our warfighters out there that are listening, they already know this, but there may be some people that aren't. But I'd love to talk about this stuff. I just wanted to briefly just talk about the Air Force, the Army fitness test. Each segment of those, we're looking at the screen right now where it says the five standards. Have you had to do all of those before?
I did before I retired, which was 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
I honestly didn't find it to be that difficult.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I was used to the 2 mile run, push-ups and sit-ups, and I mean, if you're really active and you're doing things, then I think then the sprint drag carry, and I mean, they did away with the ball toss, which
Right.
I don't know. I never tossed a ball in combat, but I mean that's whatever. Um, but I think it's a good test. I do think it mimics more of what you're doing in combat. I'm sure there's a better test out there, but for now, I think it's not a bad test to be had.
Yeah, I agree too. It reminds me of just like core fitness and strength rather than singular body parts. Because the Air Force, obviously, chest, abdomen. I'm not sure sit-ups are a good physical measurement of total fitness too. I mean, some people just are genetically can do it easily, and some can't. But I love the total body fitness component that the Army does too. What do you think about the Air Force, their component? So that's a run, push-ups. There is sit-ups. I believe they've added planks as well too as an option.
Well, look, I think it's different now. I think they finally come more into the standard of what more people are doing. Every time I
Hmm.
deployed, there were Air Force folks around, and of course, all their jobs are different. But um, look, when I was Air Force, I thought that was super easy. It was like hey, we're going to do some push-ups and then we're going to run around the hangar for a bit. And then they had a bunch of coolers out there. So I don't know, but I think now that it's coming into a more of a standard because they're expected to go and do, and they're warfighters. We tease them about the Chair Force or Chair Force Rangers or whatever, but end of the day, I know that there are people in the Air Force doing the job. So I don't want to
Absolutely.
pick on people too much.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well,
Plus,
let's
you have to
move.
be able to be quick to meet the DoorDash. I'm just joking.
Actually, well, for us, it's the China buffet
Oh,
on
you're
Sunday afternoon. All right, let's go to the next segment, which is waiver stats. So, just to tee it up a little bit, we talked about fitness, and then we talked about medical issues because we're both medical. We got that perspective probably more than anybody else. But we said, hey, I wonder how many personnel, so troops or airmen, what percentage of those have one component or more wavered on their PT test? And you did a little research.
I did a little research, and I won't name what brigade it is, but it was a brigade. And out of the 2012 personnel in the brigade, 532 were either on a temporary or permanent profile.
Wow.
So that meant that basically, and I'm doing math in my head here. You're probably smarter than me on this, but it's like roughly 28%. And somebody will watch this and go, "Yeah, he sucks at math." But in my head, 28% sounds right.
Hey, look,
So
I'm just saying that right now, so I'm going to tell you right now. When you tell an Air Force person a brigade, they have no idea how many people that is. So you want to share that too?
yeah, so like a brigade size force is kind of like what I just said about 2,000 folks. 500 people being on a profile, that's a battalion size element. And I'll be honest, the last time I deployed, we refrad about 500 people, and that's a battalion size element. And so if you're really having to go and do a mission and you lose 500 folks or 500 folks can't deploy, that's a huge deal. So readiness is super important. And going back to that fitness standard, if people are not doing the fitness, when it comes time to deploy, that's when we get all these injuries because people are used to being on the couch or sitting in their desk doing their stuff, and then all of a sudden they're asked to go out and shoot, move, and communicate, and they get hurt, and then they can't deploy. So I mean, readiness is a big thing. I think the Secretary of War is right on with this. We need a leaner, meaner, force that's able to go out and do the job.
Yeah, I agree. I learned a bunch deploying. I haven't deployed as much as you, but just quick facts. So when I went to Iraq, the first thing I learned was if somebody does have a medical issue that probably precluded them from being deployed, and they got to the area,
Yeah.
then if they're sick and ill, that means somebody's got to replace them, and they start consuming resources. It may take one, two, three medics to take care of them and get them out of theater. That's one. And then, I was like, hey, man, we're going to see so many combat injuries. And it turns out like the third of the people we took care of were medical issues that they brought from home. Diabetes, hypertension. We had 6 MIs, heart attacks, in a 10-month period, and grossly obese patients. And I was like, how in the world are they still in the military? So it's a thing. And then another fact people might not know is the number one reason people get sent out of theater from a medical standpoint is dental.
Yeah.
Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Well, look, they almost wanted to medevac a guy out of Basra because he had an abscess tooth, and I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
A
But it's an issue
$220 million C-17 for exactly
for an abscess tooth.
right. Taxpayer dollars at their best. All right, that's our waiver stats. Thanks for the
And look, one more
research.
thing, Chris.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people are going, "Oh, how dare they say that they won't have fat people or they won't have this that's body shaming." I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I was a whole 232 pounds when I went to basic training, and I was fat shamed almost every day. And when we went to the chow hall, the drill sergeant's like, "You have to show me your plate before you eat it." And I had, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. And then I had like a minute to shove that down my throat, and then so I was like 182 pounds when I graduated. It's okay. And you know what? it's okay to be fat shamed because it worked for me. And if you can't be fat shamed and make it, maybe this is not the organization for you.
Absolutely. And I don't, as a scientist and researcher, I say obese or obesity a lot, but I have the same story. I was a center in high school. I weighed 232 pounds. I was 6'2". And by the time I graduated OCS, I lost 45 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I've kept it off. So there's another thing. I've been under 200, actually 188 is my fighting weight, and I attribute that to Air Force. So fat shaming is a thing, but it's effective as well too. So uh, segment 3, National Guard versus active duty fitness challenges. We touch on this a little bit. We're going to run out of time here in a little while. What you got?
Well, I mean, again, it goes back to I think, you have soldiers that are expected to do PT every day, but then if they get hurt, like a guard guy, reserve guy gets hurt doing PT, and they're like, who's going to pay my bills? And there are a lot of soldiers out there that are, National Guardsmen or reservists, and they don't have insurance. And they don't pay for the insurance. And so if
Mm.
they get hurt and they're missing work, now all of a sudden they've lost their paycheck. And so some feel like, no, I'm not going to do the PT because if I get hurt and I can't get a paycheck, my family's not going to eat. Um, Again, though, but you signed a contract, so there's a gray area there, and I don't know how to meet that in the middle. Whether it be like a stipend or anything like that, but and of course that's not even been entertained by the Department of War, but uh, you got to meet somewhere in the middle. Whereas active duty, you are going to, organizational PT is a thing. Yeah, and when you're in active duty, you're doing that every day, or you should be doing that every day. But
Hmm.
again, if you get hurt, you have insurance, you're getting taken care of. So there's a conversation to be had there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, great discussion today. I'm so excited to hear this story because I want to hear this story again.
Yes.
Tell us your
So,
deplored story that's related to fitness and how it affects
all right. So
the
I got a
warfighter.
buddy, and we were talking one night. I used to go over to his house every night, or a lot of nights, and we were talking. And he's like, "Yeah, I remember we got dropped off in a helicopter, and we had some young kids, talking about kids." And he goes, and they were new, and he goes, "I'm sitting here as a platoon sergeant, and we were told we are going to get dropped and have to go 6 clicks to go outside this village." And we are going over this mountain, and all of a sudden this one kid goes, "I can't do this in this altitude, man. I can't breathe." And I'm not, I'm just, and he sat down, and another kid sat down next to him. And he's like, "Man, what is going on here?" So he said, I walked over to the first kid and I grabbed him by the collar and I pulled him up real close and I said, "Hey, look, you stay here with him. You watch out for each other. I'll watch on YouTube when they saw your head off with a dull knife." And he goes, "It was magical. They could get up and move."
Oh my
And
goodness.
but I mean, yeah, it's a mental toughness, it's a physical toughness. I think in the military we need to have people who are not quitters, um, people who just won't quit.
Agree.
If you're a quitter, quit right now and don't go see the recruiter. But if you're not a quitter, let you know, hey, we can make this work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, great story. I think all of us probably have a story similar to that. But fitness is important. Just to recap, I mean, it is a
Absolutely.
thing, and either you do it or you don't. So that's just part of it. Well, I encourage everyone to think about that, especially when you see different perspectives, particularly on the news. Sometimes it's just portrayed differently, and we've been in it, and we kind of know the truth, and the truth somewhere in the middle. So I'd encourage everybody to kind of think about that as well too. We do invite feedback. I mean, Lane and I really want to see the comments. Like, it's no fun just recording our conversations. I'd love to see some feedback, and one, like, is it valuable? Two, what are some things you want us to talk about? And then guests too. We have some really awesome guests coming up soon. Some real war heroes and stories, and people you probably know the story but don't know the people. And I want to share those guys because we are getting older, and it's very important to share that with the next generation. You agree with that, Lane?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, our next topic is going to be next week. We actually have two guests. I'm going to tease a little bit, but it will be some. One is a fitness story because I already know what that story is. special operations Army lead sniper that's going to share some examples of how fitness could compromise a mission. And then we'll have a secret guest as well too. But it'll either be Lane and I or both of us leading this program. So you're in good hands with either one of us. But I'm super excited for you guys to experience some of this from the GTI headquarters.
And Chris, I'm excited. Both these guys are absolute heroes. So
Absolutely. All right. Well, we enjoyed it. You guys, please come back and see us. This is a weekly podcast. Please give us some feedback, positive and negative. We can take it. We can take some critiques.
even fat shaming.
Yeah, even fat shaming. We're going to get some fat shaming. That'll be fine. We can handle it. Right. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for the time, Lane.
All right. You have a good one, Chris.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great week. And remember, never stop training.